Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Unlock the Middle Sunday night primetime videocast, where we explore uniqueness in education across multiple platforms. My name is Dean Packard. I'm the principal of Charlton Middle School in Charlton, Massachusetts. And alongside of me, I have my good friend and co-host, Principal Chris Starcheski of Dudley Middle School in Dudley, Massachusetts. As you know, Sunday nights has become our flagship night, where we bring in some of the greatest stars in education, powerhouse speakers, authors, principals, leaders, you name it, we bring them in. And tonight is going to be no different, as we've really found another great individual to be coming on and improving our PLN. Chris, how are you tonight? It's great to see you. Very happy it's Sunday night as always.
Yeah, right there with you, Dean. I'm pretty fired up about the show tonight. Anytime we can bring an amazing elementary or middle school principal, even high school principals, to talk about teaching, learning, and what makes our jam special, it's a great time. But, we're coming off a restful weekend as we make a transition in our district to a new instructional learning model. A lot of work went into that. This weekend was a great time to dot the I's and cross the T's, make sure we're ready to go. But definitely took some opportunity to shut it down for a while. Hope you did the same, my friend.
Yeah, I did. That's one more step towards normalcy. If I get another email about somebody having to be quarantined, though, I'm going to be going out of my mind. I know where all leaders are in the exact same position. And, we just pray every night that those numbers go down and the vaccine gets out there and we get back to normal, because kids need to be in school. We need to make sure we get there, but we got to do it in a safe and orderly fashion. And all of our principal colleagues out there, they're facing the same problems that we are. But we are taking a step forward, Chris, and we'll have a different schedule Monday morning ready to go.
That we will. Tonight's show is all about the idea of leading with culture. And our guest tonight has been in educational admin for a number of years. And his expertise in this area really helps define new boundaries of where we are at currently, given the status of the pandemic and the continual shifts that we need to experience along that path to normal, whatever that new normal will look like. What do you say we bring in Jay and we roll?
Absolutely. Let's talk about culture in the building and what it's all about. So I'll bring Jay in. Why don't you take care of the bio?
Well, hey, everybody out there. If you're not familiar with Jay Billy, he is the proud principal of Ben Franklin Elementary School in Lawrence Township Public Schools in Lawrenceville, New Jersey. Jay has been in educational admin since 1996. He was awarded the 2016 Exemplary Elementary Educator Award from the State of New Jersey Department of Education. He is a pirate leader. He is passionate about school culture, continuous learning, innovation in school, and supporting the whole child. He has presented at numerous conferences around the state and the country on subjects such as building positive school culture, becoming a pirate leader, using social media, classroom management, student engagement, and equity. He's the author of the book, Lead with Culture, What Really Matters in Our Schools, and that's published by the Dave Burgess Consulting Company. As you know, we've had Dave Burgess on and several other authors from them as well. Jay, how are you tonight, my friend?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on. I heard you guys talking about changing your model. We just did that last week, and our secondary are opening up tomorrow with it. And as you said, the challenge is real, but it's all good. It's good to see the kids, and we're making it work.
Jay, you make a really good point. The challenges are tough, but we do make it work. And there's no better thing to see than a smile on a child's face when they're back in their normal in a school, the structure that they need to be successful. So yeah, thank you for saying that. And we do walk in this race together, which is really good. Hey, if you could just do a comment of where you're watching from. And if you do have a comment for Jay, please throw it in the comment section. We'll gladly put that up as well. So, all right, Chris, back to you.
Yeah, Jay, I'm really excited that you're here. I haven't read your book cover to cover, but I have flipped through it, and I've read tidbits, and I've pulled tidbits out as I was going ahead to send messages to family, and my family in my school. As we sit down and we talk about school culture, what is the Jay Billy definition of school culture?
Well, yeah. So people often talk about culture and climate kind of interchangeably, and it's a set of shared beliefs that you, the families of your school, and staff and the students all have about learning. It's kind of the shared behaviors of the group. But really, for me, when I go out and I speak and I talk about it, like it's what the climate piece is more the way you feel, but it's really when I walk into a building, how does it make me feel? When I walk into a classroom, how do I feel? Is there a buzz, an excitement about going on, or is it just kind of and oftentimes you get that from the moment, whether you're new to the school or you're just kind of learning about the school. When they walk into my front office, they should feel it from my secretaries. They should feel it from the teachers, from the kids. The excitement. Are the kids polite? Are the people in the front office polite and helpful? All of that I feel is so important as far as the culture. It's just really a set of shared beliefs about making school amazing every day.
Jay, one of the things that I like to say, even in my school, and Chris would agree with this, we call it the first impression syndrome. You've got one shot to create that environment where people feel welcomed, where they feel safe, where they feel that they're going to drop their child off. And it's going to be a productive opportunity for them. So I appreciate you saying that. As we look to develop cultures within schools, what are some of the things we can do to develop the culture in classrooms and within schools? What are some of the ways that we can make it better?
Well, it starts kind of from the leadership in that there must be high expectations, and that everybody's going to do the work to make sure that we get to where we want to go. And I know we're going to talk more about it, but you need to build that trust as a school leader, but the teachers have to feel that they can take risks. The teachers won't take risks unless they see you taking risks as a school leader, and the kids won't take risks unless they see their teachers taking risks. Mm-hmm. So there must be risk taking, and opportunities to grow and learn. There must be teachers have to feel that they have the okay to step outside that lesson plan for the day and really share their passions. The kids should be able to share their passions and the things they're passionate about. So really, all of that is really about the trust that's built up, that there's really nothing wrong as long as you're working towards learning and becoming a better person. Again, there are many things involved. The kindness piece, that's the first thing. As I said, with our kids, I have the younger kids, but even in the middle school and high school, you can feel that from the moment. And if we model that for the kids and they model it for the next set of students that come into the school, that just grows. It just grows on you.
Jay, Chris, hold on a second. What are some of the things that you do to model kindness in your school? Something that might be out of the ordinary that we're not thinking of doing right now on our own.
Well, I'm sure you are thinking of it. But the first thing is just smiling at people when they walk in the door, and having a positive word for them. It's hard with masks now, but you can see it in the eyes. You can, you see the smile in their eyes. Every kid gets a high five when they come in. We're not doing that anymore. It's fist bumps or elbow bumps, obviously, but we have music playing. We try to have music playing. We love that the kids are excited, as Beth and Shelley talk about Lead Like a Pirate, that, we want the students, the staff, and the families running in instead of out. So those kind of things. I put signs up. We don't have a message board in front of our school. So I don't know where I saw it, somewhere on social media a couple of years ago. I stick these little 3-ounce cups in a fence, and the sign that I just took down, it was Kindness Matters, or Ben Franklin Rocks, or we love you, or things like that. So that, those, I have signs up, and it's interesting when we talk about that, because, and I'm going to lead you into the community part of it too. When the pandemic hit, I took everything down because, it sat there for a while, and I took everything down, and I have families that don't even have children in the school that messaged me and said, "We loved your signs. Would you start putting them back up again?" They don't even have children in our school, but they were like, "We loved your signs. It was a positive message for our community. Would you put those back up again?" So, those are the things that we model. I emphasize to the teachers, how important it is to greet the kids the same way, with a smile on their face. We celebrate everything. We celebrate our birthdays. We celebrate just coming back to school, like you'll be doing tomorrow. I mean, that's like a party. The day that we can all be in one place and hug each other again, that there will be no. I mean, and I say this quite honestly, it will be a one long party that day. When we can finally be shoulder to shoulder celebrating each other. That the day we left school on March 13th last year was the last time we were together that way. And when we come back, we will do that again. Right now we're on a hybrid thing, so we do that in a way, but just celebrate everything. I can't wait till we can just hug each other again. I think that's the big part.
I think that's super special, and it's well stated. I think sometimes we take for granted all the traditions that we have in place, and we don't understand the actual impact. We just do them because they make sense to do, but they're very powerful. And one of the things that strikes me all the time is that while I'm very proud of our school and our staff and our district, new members of our learning community don't know us. So despite our reputation for being amazing and connected and students first, we've got to develop the reputation with our new families. We can't just assume that our reputation carries them, so we've got to really thump that tradition and ensure that we've got something special for each and everyone who comes through our doors. I appreciate listening to you, Jay. Your energy is just so powerful. As we think about continuing to grow and continuing to learn, what is SM and how do we use it?
Well, again, social media can be a powerful tool for educators. I often talk to teachers who are not connected, and I wouldn't be sitting here today if I wasn't connected. You guys wouldn't be doing what you're doing, sharing your messages like that without the connections and the people out there that want to keep learning. There are so many educators doing so many amazing things, and I share the story in my book, but I always talk about this. I was sitting at the National Principals Conference. I want to say it was 2013, maybe 2013, and Todd Whitaker was speaking, and he said, if you're not on Twitter, you're in danger. You're missing out on some of the best personal professional development you can get. And I had at that time had been on Twitter for 2 years. I had the 20 people that were in my workshop that taught us how to get on Twitter as followers, and that's who I followed. And I didn't get it, and I followed him, and after I figured out, and I always after I remembered what my password was or had to get a new password because I hadn't used it in 2 years and all these other things, I followed Todd Whitaker, and then I started reading his tweets and then following the people who he retweeted, and it built and grew. And then I got involved in Facebook, so I use social media not only to share the story of my school, but to learn and to grow. The other piece, and George Couros always talks about this, who's telling the story of your school. And, I want to be the one telling the story. When you Google Jay Billy or Ben Franklin Elementary School, the first 300 tweets are of amazing things that are happening in our school. That's the story I want people to get, to get about what's happening at Ben Franklin. Sure, we have days when things don't go as well or things like that, but we have amazing students doing amazing things, and I have amazing teachers doing amazing things every single day. So my goal is to share those things so others will learn. And then as I go through my Twitter feed or go through, my Facebook feed, or even now Instagram, I'm getting better at all those things. I learn. The podcasts are amazing opportunities to learn. I exercise every day with my, headphones on, and I'm listening to a podcast. Sometimes I switch to music, but sometimes I listen to podcasts or different things like that too. So I continue to learn. I read books in my ears now. All those opportunities are just great things. I often tell teachers when I go in and observe classrooms, any suggestions for feedback I give you are probably something I saw in someone else's class or read about in someone else's, blog, and thought, oh, this would work for so-and-so, or this might work for so-and-so, so all of those things. So, the learning, the sharing your story, and finally the connecting with people who inspire you to make you better. I think that's social media.
It's exceptionally powerful, your description of how you can effectively utilize social media to really help take the game of your buildings to that next level. And I think it's really special to acknowledge that, the PLN and that community of learners contribute to ideas without real intent to influence change. They just are willing to take the risk to put their ideas out there, which in itself is huge. But then when other people use them, now we get the flywheel spinning and there's greatness all over.
I shared just for instance, there was a somewhere on social media I saw this little it was a course to help kids self-regulate, like a little obstacle course and things like that. And I saw it, and we made one at my school. I saw it first on social media. I think it was a Facebook page over in Europe. They weren't even speaking our language, but I just watched it, and we made one in our school, and I shared it just in a tweet one day. 250,000 views, people from all over the place reaching out. Hey, tell us what you did here, things like that. And it was just, a little course to, that kids needed some self-regulation to go on, jump, do push-ups, sit-ups, jump over, roll over, follow a little course, things like that. We did it with gym tape on the floor in one of the hallways. It was nothing, but that's how powerful social media can be for learning.
One of the things that I see often is that we still have pockets of resistance to get on social media, teachers, and they worry because of the things that they can get in trouble for or what they might be called out on. We try to say, Chris and I use it all the time. We try to say, if you're not on some platform, you're kind of not going to grow. You're not going to grow at the pace of the things around you. They're just, our PLN is it's like a professional development on steroids. You can get it any time that you want to, and you can get it as much as you want to. On Saturday mornings, I love going to Lead LAP and just watch what people are talking about. Mastery Chat on Teach Better. These forums are set up to really help people propel and extend their game. But Jay, one of the things that I often talk about with people that we speak with, how do we get those teachers sometimes who are reluctant or afraid to use social media to dive in? You have any thoughts on that? I know we're off the script a little bit, but
that's what I for me, I continue to share the growth that I've gotten from it. I also try to when I see amazing things in classrooms, obviously I tell the teacher, but I also share it. And so if it's good enough that I think someone else could benefit from it, I share it. So if they see themselves out there, they tend to jump in a little bit more. It can become all-encompassing. You have to be very careful, sharing kids and things like that in classrooms and all that. And sometimes, they think it's easier to not share than to share.
Yep.
But the sharing is the caring piece, and that is the big thing. So I think just like I said, modeling it, calling people out who are doing great things, and then continuing giving people opportunities to see themselves as the person that is being recognized for the great stuff they're doing too.
Yeah, and you can never get in trouble for telling your story. I always say that. Yeah. If your story is about growth and it's about good things and great things in a classroom or about the school or the community you're in, it's a win. It's a win-win. And you can always, I don't even mind if you're afraid to get started, you can be that creeper. You don't have to post anything. Just get out there and learn. And that's okay.
And again, I was trying to shorten it, but that was the whole thing. Like, I followed Todd Whitaker. I did not know what a Twitter chat was. I didn't know what anything, but all of a sudden I see this link, and I click on the link, and there's this cool article that was like really related to something at that time that we were doing in our school. And so I share it with staff. And then the next thing, so even if they don't get involved, they're still getting the flow. They're still getting, my friend Julie Smith calls it like a river, and you can choose to jump in, with a bucket, or you jump in with a spoon, it's just water's flowing like that way.
So Jay, let's kind of dovetail back into the culture part of things and talk a little bit about what are some of the things we should be focusing on now as we move forward as pertaining to culture within schools. You know what? We're halfway navigated through this pandemic. Okay, we realize that. We hope that by the summertime is gone to a level at which at least we can get back to normal. But what should we be focusing on?
Well, again, this has been hard on our kids, and so we can't forget the social emotional piece of this. As I say to the teachers all the time, what's important in your classroom, in your classroom, physical classroom is important on the virtual space too. And that, so those relationships and those connections, kids need that. We want to be careful that the social distancing doesn't become social isolation. And so that continue to give students opportunities to share and to connect with each other, even if it's virtual. And then as we get them back, we have to remember that a lot of there's some trepidation about being close to other people again and doing those things, and accept that, and then just really talk, just really give kids space to talk. And staff, when your staff come back for the first time, it's the same thing, just space to talk. I did a staff meeting about a month ago, and I realized if you have new staff in your building, they haven't had that opportunity to connect with other staff members. So I had this whole plan for staff meeting. I was like, you know what? I'm putting you guys in breakout groups, talk to each other and just talk.
Love it.
Give them opportunities to talk. And I think, and I got a lot of feedback that they just needed that. They really need that, but the kids need that too. Even in the virtual classroom, I tell them, leave the mics open, let the kids talk during lunch, give them opportunities to do that. Schedule things, schedule things. We're really trying to do activities. We haven't figured out how to do our clubs and things like that at the virtual way, but we're starting. We're starting slow with little different activities online that bring some normalcy to the class. Even though we have some kids back in school now, we're not having the after school events that bring our community together, and those are huge. Those are huge. But our classroom still, every morning they do their morning meetings, in middle school and high school, it might be your circles, and just have those basic talks about, we still have the talking piece. We still, have a virtual talking piece. We do all that. Even the kids that are in school with the kids that are out of school, we bring them together too. I feel like all of those things are so important, that we want to keep our community, our school community as one. And that was the biggest thing. We have a cohort A and a cohort B and a virtual group. Trying to find ways to do them. I've done more whole school family meetings than I've ever done before. And it's just kind of an open question answer thing, because I want everybody's input as well as their feeling. I also, for those kids you don't see or are having trouble getting on, don't just assume they're being lazy. There's a whole lot going on in those houses, and, really reach out and connect. I've been to a lot more houses than I've ever been to. The other piece is, the good piece is, many of our teachers are more connected with families than they've ever been, because we're in their living room every day and we're partnering with them right now for learning. And that is really, really, has been helpful and important. When teacher conferences come up, when time for conferences come up, they've seen the classroom. They see what you're doing in your class as well as you see what's going on in their home. And so you can help. And then I periodically I'll send out just a, hey, how's it going survey, to the families, is there anything you need? And they appreciate just being asked most of the time, and if they need something, I address it.
Jay, very salient points around this, the social connectedness and the ways that we need to really focus on that to ensure that folks maintain a level of support and extend their needs as we normally would be able to do during the school year. It's just in this environment, it's so difficult. But during the pandemic, positivity is a challenge at times. Maintaining that. What are some of the ways that you recommend folks shift their lens a little bit and consider to maintain a positive outlook and be able to shine the light into those dark, creepy corners?
Again, there are lots of ways to continue connecting, and I think do those breakout rooms on if you're using Zoom or Google Class, Google Meet or whatever, and take the time to have one-on-one conversations with kids. It's so important. Who was it? I don't know whose idea it was, but it was shared on a blog in Edutopia, and somebody else. Jennifer Gonzalez shared it. The 2x10 strategy, where you meet with one kid 10 times in a row for just 2 minutes a day. If kids are struggling, that's an awesome strategy you can do online. Let them pop in 2 minutes before the class starts and just meet with them. Find ideas like that. I think the other piece is as the school principal to be visible in their classrooms. Whether it's virtual or online, and that's always important, but especially now, I want to make sure they see me at least a couple times a week, jumping into their class, even if it's for just a minute, to just listen to what's going on. Everybody's greeting everybody, things like that, to be visible. And, the final thing, like I said, is really just ask, how you doing? Yeah. What do you need? Parents have been very grateful for that. And, we have some families in our district, are struggling. I mean, that's one of my questions on my survey, we're struggling, we need this. We'll get it for you. We'll figure out a way to get it. There's people out there that I have so many parents. The pandemic caused this last spring, but even till now, so many families are willing to do things for others. They just don't know what to do. Yeah. And so, if somebody reaches out, I'll say, hey, so-and-so needs this. And they're there. They're there willing to help.
Jay, the struggle is real. And one of the things we tell our teachers now, we just finished our second term, is to pump the brakes. Just pump the brakes, because you want to know something? Your pacing guides are not going to serve you well this year. Kids are going home and sitting in front of the computer for 10 hours a day. Parents are going out of their blessed minds. I get multiple emails. And I always end by saying, you know what, I hear you. I absolutely do. And nothing is perfect right now. But we have given our teachers the autonomy and the okay to pump the brakes and relax and find the entry points for kids on where it's at. It's okay. Until we get through this pandemic, that's the way we have to look at things. With that being said, let's just talk about for a second, community matters. Okay. Even coming out of this pandemic, we still have to find ways to connect with the community and still show them how important it is and what we're doing with the learning. And that learning has changed. Even in the passage I wrote tonight to my staff for this week, it's about being able to adjust your mindset almost weekly to help kids become successful. And that's deprogramming the way that educators are programmed. What are your thoughts on that? And how can we help bring community and school and classrooms and from the principal's office all together to get through this?
Well, and I think I shared a little bit, those family meetings, where I meet with, I just open up the Zoom and say, come in and listen. As you were saying, the words that I hear coming out of my mouth all the time, and I tell my teachers and I tell my families for the teachers, patience and grace,
Yeah.
Communicate, keep communicating, and if a parent tells me their kid's just not good in the afternoon, we got to find a way to help them in the morning. Then, if a parent tells me that, I'm working and I can't help them, I work on ways to find that. So, I kind of talked about it a little. Our community's helpful. They're there to help us. I reach out and say, Joey's having a hard time. Mom's working all day. I see that you have, somebody that's in his class at home doing work. Would you mind if they come to your house? Socially distance, do that. We've done those things. Some of the families have been great about that. But our community continues. Our community is, like I said, is can be separated very easily, and we want to try to do those things to keep them together. It's funny. We have an education foundation, and this Friday they're having a huge virtual. It's what is it called? It's like a gala, like a gala, but it's going to be virtual, and they play. They're going to play games, and it's Trivial Pursuit, kind of a Trivial Pursuit night, and you come on as teams and things like that. So people in the community are organizing these things, and I shout it out, get involved, do these things. We last spring when it was bad, we tried to avoid the car parades, but now we deliver stuff to the kids' houses and do that. So we try to do those things too. But the community, building that classroom community, building that school community, and then our whole community as a whole is really struggling, and we want to be there for them. My PTO and some of my parents have been great. We had before the holidays, we had a huge winter clothing drive. We have a couple community agencies in our right in our community that we collected probably 70 or 80 bags of winter clothes and coats. That's awesome. So we're doing things like that. We just collected for our local soup kitchen hygiene products. So the Great Kindness Challenge is coming up this week. So that was part of what we were trying to get ahead of that. So we're continuing to do the things that we would do as if we were in school, but it's for the whole community, really.
And you can't measure those on a state standardized test. So keep up that work. That's a good barometer of connectivity within a community. Just one more thing before I hand it over to Chris. Let's talk about failures for a second. And this is something as a principal, and we're all principals here. When you come to an end of a quarter or a term, and you get a child, and I hate the word failure. I'm a big proponent of not yet. And I wish we could use that as like the precursor for this year throughout the entire year. But my head always says, listen, we got to have a ceiling, okay? If someone is disconnected and disengaged, we're going to be having lots of conversations with those families way ahead of time and not have a surprise come the end of the term. But what's your thought on students not making the grade and being behind? Well, how do you feel on that?
Well, so this is an opportunity to change school.
Yes.
I just wrote an article. I don't know if it'll get published or not, but who says that schools, kindergarten plus 12 grades, who says it should take 13 years to get through and then you should go to college? Who says that you should be here by the time you're 14 years old and in 8th grade? What if you're only here? That's okay. And I'm lucky enough to I have 5 children who 3 are still, working their way through school, 1 in college, 2 in high school, and 1 doesn't need to be in school. He's doing great. He's fine. The other one, I need her back in classes every day because she's missing so much, the social piece, but also just academically. But who says maybe this is a red shirt year? Again, I know it's costly to public schools. I know, but maybe we need to start looking at schools differently. And what look at the growth, look at the experience, and accept that I didn't get to teach this year, and that's okay. That's okay, because look what they learned. Look what they've gone through a pandemic. It's not loss of learning. They've learned a lot. It's just they learned something different. Our kids have learned something different, and they survived a pandemic. No other group of students have ever had to do that. And so let's put that in the curriculum. They all get A's on that, you know?
Love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Reimagine,
Yeah.
reinvent. Wow.
Yeah, one of our biggest challenges is to develop and cultivate thinkers and great people. Content is a very discrete way of delivering, what we consider formal education, what is learning. I don't want to go off on a tangent because we could probably talk about, what is actual learning and get into it for hours, but it's not necessarily about standards. It's not about discrete content. I'm just going to leave it there. But hey, Jay, I really want to jump back to all right. I want to jump back to social media just for a moment and round out our conversation here. Yeah, I'm looking in the background where you're at right now, and I see a couple of pirate flags up on the wall. And earlier, Dean referenced Lead Lap, right? Can you talk a little bit about Lead Lap, what it is, and what its real purpose is, and the benefit to leadership?
Well, Lead Lap, it stands for Lead Like a Pirate. It was the offshoot of Dave Burgess' book, Teach Like a Pirate, written by Beth Huff and Shelley Burgess. Okay. And there's also a Twitter chat and a website and all these other things, and blogs and things like that. But on Saturday mornings at Eastern time, not 10:30, is a conversation, and Lead Lap is a professional learning network of people talking about important things in schools. Since the pandemic and then the racial strife, the focus really has been on building anti-racist educators and growing that way, helping fight through the systemic racism that's in our society, and working to support schools and leaders and create ideas to make this world a better place.
Awesome.
But for those that are new, real quick, pirate is not, as Dave says, we're not robbing ships at seas or anything like that. The pirate stands for passion. P. It's an acronym. P. Yep. Immersion, rapport, ask and analyze, transformation, enthusiasm. So, but
it's a platform with amazing educational minds sharing, coming together. Yep. And like I say, a lot of times I'll just watch the stuff come through and I'll chime in when I can. But Shelley and Beth and all the principals that run the chats, they do an absolutely amazing job. And one of many out there, but it's definitely something to check out.
Well, I'm blessed to be connected. My book was written under, is one of the leadership books under Lead Lap, and I'm blessed to be connected to Shelley and Beth, but I'm more blessed to be connected to that whole family. We were talking about family and community before, but that's a different type of family and community. Your professional learning family.
Absolutely. Joe, where can people get your book? Okay. Lead with Culture. I mean, let's throw that out there for a moment, and just, where can they get it? How can they find it?
Amazon. Just go to Amazon, or Dave, the Dave Burgess Consulting website, DBC. I think it's, Dave Burgess Consulting. You go there, or look under books, or like I said, go to Amazon, just look up for Lead with Culture, what really matters in our schools. And, it's there. Barnes and Noble, some of them have them, some of them don't, but you can order through barnesandnoble.com also. But like I said, I appreciate you talking about it. I'm just more excited to talk about schools. Like I said, this is fun for me. I enjoy this very, very much.
And when Dr. Joe Pizzo endorses you, the 47-year-old veteran from the great state of New Jersey, you made inroads. There's no doubt about it.
Dr. Joe is an amazing person.
He was a middle marvel. We're good friend of ours now, and just what an amazing person to get to.
And I have to say, although you guys have really good voices for the radio, he's got the voice. Dr. Joe has the voice.
He does. I got a plan for him. He doesn't know what's coming his way yet, but I'm going to surprise him with it. I'll tag him on this. It's coming. It's coming.
Awesome. Well, hey, Jay, we're about out of time. We're coming up on 40 minutes tonight. On behalf of Dean, thank you so very much for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure listening to you, and you've validated some perspectives that we have as leaders, and you've also given us some ideas on how to make inroads with some challenges that we're facing right now. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
I love your humility, but I also love the way you lead. You lead with passion and pride, and those things are the intangibles that move buildings forward. So continue doing that. And again, it was an absolute pleasure talking with you tonight.
Thank you guys for having me. It's always fun. And like I said, I'm out there. If people need to reach out, feel free to, because we're all here together. We're in it together. It's for all our kids.
All right, everybody out there, have a great Sunday night. More importantly, tune in Tuesday night for another version of Middle Marvels.
Middle Marvels.
And we got another amazing Edu sister coming our way. So won't say any more, but that ought to be a great show. But then end out the week with Navigating Leadership once again. So as we tackle the issues that surround all leaders in education. So on behalf of all of us, we hope you have a great night tonight. And thank you so much for joining us.
Bye. I'll be better.